questions. There we go. Go ahead, sir.
Tombstone was my favorite movie of all time. I loved you in that movie.
Thank you.
And could you tell me what you did or what you based your character of Doc Holliday on as far as like the talking, the way he walked and things like that?
Well, the first thing I did was to call well, I think he's the best dialect coach in the world. He used to do lots and lots of theater, and now he does lots and lots of movies. I think he's done every Martin Scorsese picture since before Kundun. He's really a great guy named Tim Monick. And I called him up, I said, I need a dialect of a Southern aristocrat that's, is dead because they all died in the Civil War. He goes, I got it. I said, no, let me go on. He goes, no, I got it. And he sent me a tape. I'll try and do it without laughing. This is how this guy talked for real. Tim, it's wonderful that you've asked me to visit today. It was so slow that, first of all, just everything he said was hilarious. Just because when you talk that slow, everything's just funny. But he was a socialite and a big guy in the theater from Georgia. And that's where I just started just listening to this one tape all the time. And I've got a lot of relatives from the South. And so I talked to the other relatives still living about what things they remembered. And then I had a lot of horses at the time, and a really good horse trainer that was just oddly a historian about riding, because the military posture back then, there was a very specific way that they rode, which is really strange. They didn't move with the horse so much. So like on a jump, you see a lot of old paintings, and they look like it's a bad painting because they're so rigid, but it's actually how they were taught to ride. So little tiny things like that made him just always different than, your average guy out west. And then a lot of things that usually with the role, especially when it's well written, it's sort of all in the writing. He was very funny and mean, and funny and mean. So.
Well, what was it like working with that cast because there was everything from people that were already big stars to people that were on their way up to becoming big stars?
Yeah, that was a testimony to the writer again, Kevin Jarre, because there were, I think, 8 or 10 of the guys in it had already been leads in movies, big movies, and it's just because the westerns are so rare, and which is odd because everybody always loves them, but then they just, Hollywood, unless they've just been a hit, then they just say, no one will go, and then another hit comes along and everybody goes. But it was a lot of fun, except pretty early on we had lots of drama because the director was the writer, and he was a brilliant writer, and then he had nothing left to direct with. He just didn't have a flair for that job. So everybody knew. I remember the first shot. I was on a horse with Kurt Russell.
Name drop it.
Name drop it. Marlon Brando. He wasn't in that movie. But I personally watched him eat a turkey one night.
A whole turkey? Yeah.
I was smoking at the time when he was bitching at me eating, and I said, you just ate a whole turkey. Sucking on the bones. But yeah, Kurt, after the first shot, he turned to me and goes, do you, like he was stuttering, and he was very articulate guy, and I'm like,
Hey, this is Dustin from Streamlabs. Today, I'm going to show you how to spot issues with CPU and GPU usage while streaming, and manage related trouble with lagged, skipped, or dropped frames in Streamlabs OBS. First of all, it's important to understand that frame issues are often caused by CPU and GPU overload, and you can identify when there's a problem by keeping an eye on them in your Windows Task Manager. Also note that certain games and applications can be more taxing on the CPU or GPU, and this will vary from different programs. We'll talk about three main types of lost frames. Lag frames, which are caused by a compositor overload and common with high GPU usage. Skip frames, which occur when the encoder is overloaded, often with high CPU usage. And drop frames, which happen when network issues exist and could be caused by servers or equipment. As we mentioned, lagged frames or slow FPS are when your GPU is overloaded.
What is going on, everyone? Welcome back to the Streamloots YouTube channel. My name is Preacher, and in today's video, we're going to be talking about an awesome free streaming software called Streamlabs OBS. This video is going to be similar to our platform overview of OBS Studio, so if you haven't checked that video out, we'll leave a link to that video in the description below. So what is Streamlabs OBS anyway? Well, Streamlabs OBS, like OBS Studio, is a software that allows you to broadcast your content live to platforms like Twitch, Mixer, YouTube, and Facebook. However, Streamlabs has integrated a ton of tools like custom alerts, widgets, and overlays right into their dashboard, which is going to make your job a lot easier when you want to get a really creative look with your live stream. Today, we'll show you how to download and install Streamlabs OBS, as well as give you an overview of the software to help you get started before you go live. With that being said, let's get into it. All right, so first things first, we need to download Streamlabs OBS. So we're going to go to streamlabs.com and download the software to our computer. So we're going to click this green button here that says download Streamlabs OBS. They've allowed you to import settings from OBS Studio if you've already been working with OBS Studio to make your job a little bit easier. You can also select Start Fresh. This is what we're going to do today for the sake of exploring Streamlabs OBS. Once we've done that, we're going to be able to set up our mic and our webcam. And so we're going to go down here to select our webcam, and then down here to select our microphone. Click Continue. Once we've done that, we're going to see a blank canvas within Streamlabs. There's quite a few differences with Streamlabs OBS in comparison to OBS Studio, such as the menu options up at the top left, like the editor and the themes that you can select from, as well as the dashboard button right here, but we'll go into a lot of this throughout the video. Down in the bottom left right here, we're going to see that there is a collection of scenes. In this case, there's only one scene created currently, and this is by default when you begin in Streamlabs. In order to add a scene, we're going to click on the plus sign here to add a new scene, and we can name this scene whatever we'd like. We'll call it Scene 2. Now that we've added that scene, we're going to have two blank scenes within Streamlabs that we can rotate between. Now what we need to do is we need to add sources to that scene. In order to do that, we're going to go down to the bottom middle here where it says Sources, and we're going to go to the plus sign. You're going to see a pop-up menu that's going to give you a ton of different options of different sources that you can add to your scene. So let's add a few sources here. To begin, let's add a background to our scene here. Let's call this background, and we're going to click Add Source. It's going to give us an option to search for a file on our computer. I'm going to select this awesome Streamloots background, and I'm going to click Done. Once I do that, I can resize this however I would like and fill out the scene, or I could add it to just a part of the scene. All right, now that we've added a background to our scene here, let's call this background. And we're going to go down to the bottom middle here where it says Sources, and we're going to go to the plus sign. You're going to see a pop-up menu that's going to give you a ton of different options of different sources that you can add